What's going on, my beautiful people? It's your boy, Matt Notice. Thank y'all for tuning in and checking in with me. I took the opportunity to sit down with my daughter and, ask her how is she holding up during this pandemic. How has the, hybrid learning from home and, back in school, how has that affected her? So stay tuned for that. But also, I got to chop it up with my good brother, Chris Ragsdale. This young brother that I go way back to high school with. He went on to Hampton U, HBCU, and then went on to become a real estate investor. Shout out to you, my brother. And I watched him go from like 2 properties on to X amount of properties. I'm not going to put the brother's business out there, but stay tuned for that. If you guys are curious about real estate investment and want to find out some tips and some information, vital information, please stay tuned. But before I dive into that, man, I got to touch on something because it's happening live and direct. It is being televised. I try to stay away from politics as much as I possibly can, but I believe it's also still our duties, if we have a voice, a platform, to actually shed light or our perspective on this. So I'm going to shed my light on what we've been seeing in the news, which were the Trump supporters ransacked, rioted, broke in to the state capital, or the nation's capital, I should say, excuse me. Some people died, unfortunately. Some people were shot and killed during this time. If anyone out there ever believed that white privilege does not exist, I think that was a perfect example of white privilege. Because if those people were black, brown, indigenous to this land, do we think there would have been the same outcome? Are you fooled by your education to think that it would have went the same way? I am sure if it was some black people out there with less vigor, would have been met with pepper spray, mace, dogs. Oh, but they don't use dogs anymore. But yeah, so I mean, we gotta wake up, folks. FBI is saying that they're looking for these people. Trump said that he's going to prosecute these people to the max. Well, let's see if they actually do it, folks, or if it's just more the same, because really and truly, if they want to find these people, it wouldn't be very hard, because most of these people weren't wearing masks in the first place. Most of these people were televising this thing, whether through their cell phones, going live on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I mean, their faces are out there. People know who these people are. Ask Uncle Charlemagne. He put out, he broadcasted several names and participants in that riot last week, Wednesday. But yeah, man, I just hope that these people are found and prosecuted, so we can continue to point these people out, these white supremacists, because we got to do away with it. And if we do not, push for this to happen, this will continue to happen. Furthermore, if they're willing to risk their lives to break into the Capitol, what else are they willing to do? What else are they willing to risk? So we got to think about this, folks. We are definitely approaching some serious times. And if we just ignored it and act like it's not happening, I try not to feed into all of this, all this chaos. But at the same time, I need to be aware of it, so I know how I need to move, how I need to protect my family, what I might need to do differently. You understand? So, but first and foremost, they need to find them people and hold them accountable. There needs to be some accountability here. because clearly the system wasn't built for us. Black and brown folks. We know this. It's well documented. It's very evident. It's in our face. It's being televised. So my good people, wake up. Be aware. Don't let it consume you, of course, but just be aware and use your platform and your voice to be heard. But yeah, with that being said, I'm gonna digress, and we're gonna move on to better things. Talking about some positive things, thinking things that will uplift our community and help us to build and rebuild and grow. So without no further ado, let me bring my boy Chris Ragsdale up in here. Y'all check out this interview. What's going on, Chris Ragsdale? We are actually in one of the units in the building that you just purchased. I believe you just closed on that today. Is that right?
That's about 2 o'clock today. Absolutely, man. All praise to the Most High for providing me with this opportunity, man. It's truly a blessing, man. And I'm just humbled and thankful, for real.
Yeah, so, obviously we go back, you and myself, many years, high school. I know you went down to Hampton.
You see the mask.
Yeah, you repping
always,
Hampton.
Always.
Fast forward, you are an investor. What would you call yourself? What is your title, Chris? What do you do?
Oh man, that's a good question. To be honest with you, I make 15 cents to $1, man. Really, that's what I do. That's it, man. In the most righteous sense possible,
Yeah. Where did it come from? Sorry to cut you, but where did that come? Did that stem from somewhere?
I always say this, man. My motto is quiet is kept is. For a long time, I always thought I wanted to go from public housing to provided housing. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I grew up with a lot of people, a lot of hustlers. Not in the traditional sense that we understand in our culture. Hustling in the streets. A lot of family members, a lot of friends. Grew up in public housing. So, definitely seen that side of the fence, and also knew that there was another way. And funny enough, too, a lot of people. Elders, a lot of OGs, a lot of guys who were a little older than me would always pull me to the side, and people saw things in me before I even recognized them in myself. Whereas, if they saw me doing something, they would pull me to the side and say, Rags, that's not for you, that's not you, you're gonna be different, you're gonna do something different. And even when I didn't understand it, at a younger age, I still appreciated it, you know what I'm saying?
So let me ask you, so how did that translate into you becoming the business entrepreneur, real estate mogul, if you will, today? How did you get to this point right here?
Really through grace, man. Favor, even when I didn't understand it, definitely had a high power looking out for me. Now that I look back on it and reflect on it, certainly when I didn't understand it, I'm just coming into what I feel is understanding now. And, like any other seed, man, we all born here. When we born, we already have everything within us already. It's just about being nurtured, being in the right environment, and following the right process to developing fruit. You know what I'm saying? Like an apple seed already has everything that it needs to turn into an apple tree in it from onset. So really, I believe humans are the same way. And we all born here with different gifts. We're born with different gifts. We're born with different attributes and personality features and abilities and grace. What I used to think is talent, I now refer to it as grace. To me, early on, I saw real estate as a vehicle because it was very safe. Because everyone's always, you need food, water, and shelter. So to me, the easiest one to provide to people was shelter. At least to figure out how to get into that lane. So, and I love working with my hands. I've always been a physical person. So it was a natural, it was kind of like a natural development over time. But funny enough, talking about my experience at Hampton University, going there, coming from Stanford, and just, the environment as it was in the early 80s and throughout the 80s, it was, Stanford in that area is not what it is now, what it was back then. So It was much, it was much wilder back then. I didn't know too many young black people who own property. I didn't know too many black people older who own property. To be honest with you, back when I was growing up, everybody I knew, we all rented, public housing, Section 8. Mm-hmm. So, when I go to Virginia, and Hampton in particular, a lot of people consider it like a black ivy, and there's young black people driving Mercedes and BMW and doing all kind of things. To me, it was a different world. Mm-hmm. The television show. Mm-hmm. And I got a shout out to Bill Cosby, man. He actually did our commencement speech, man. I know Bill went through his different things. People call him Pill Bill and different things, you know what I'm saying? But to me, Bill was an inspiration, man. Between the Cosby Show, showing me what a true, well-functioning black family looks like, and then a different world. That's what made me want to go to college, man. And I had the worst, you could look at it, I had the worst attendance. And I know we, bro. Yeah. I used to come to school at lunchtime half of the time. You know what I'm saying? I had the worst attendance of any graduating high school senior. I didn't know I was graduating. Literally.
How did you make it into Hampton off of that type of?
Well, I was also coming out of middle school and all that. I was touted to go into the UConn prep program in order because I tested well. You know what I'm saying? So I always tested well. I might not have done the homework all the time, but I would bust out a paper. I could bust out a paper the night before it's due, and I could test well. So it was grace. Once again, I told you, it's grace. It's the same way that certain NBA athletes could hit a jump shot. You know what I'm saying? I'm a thinker. I'm more of a, I guess you want to call it an intellectual in a sense. You know what I'm saying? So, but I met a lot of brothers down there in Hampton, and they were doing things that I wasn't exposed to, wasn't familiar with, traveling like, Europe, and just doing different things that really, number one, they never appealed to me. To be honest, it still don't appeal to me to travel to Europe. Like, I'd rather go to the Caribbean, you know what I'm saying? Give me some warm, some beaches, some jerk chicken. I want to go
to Africa, bro.
Yeah. I'm a Caribbean, man. Maybe I'm a Caribbean person, you know what I'm saying?
Well, there's places in Africa that will make you feel like you're in the Caribbean.
Yeah, they are beautiful, man. I met one brother in particular, man. Shout out to Teddy, man. Teddy, what up, big bro? And he the first person that really introduced me to house hacking. But truth be told,
what's house hacking?
So house hacking is you buy a single family house. It's 3-bedroom. You live in one room. You got 2 roommates. They paying you rent because it's almost like he had like a house and he kind of turned it into a little dorm in a sense. Yeah. So, but the amazing thing to me was that he was 20 some odd years old. And he had kind of got out of the military. He used the VA loan. He broke it down for me. Bought the crib, got 2 roommates, going to Hampton. I mean, it was like, damn, like, all right. I always tell him, man, when we crash at funerals, you crash at weddings, you know what I'm saying? He always seemed to be a step ahead, man. I might have caught up to you now, big bro. But nah, he's doing this thing, man, and he's was a real inspiration to me and motivation for me, just that I could see young brothers doing this, being a landlord, being a homeowner, and he was only 2-3 years older than me. So that really, it's like you hear a lot of athletes talk about it. That's why you see a lot of athletes who are siblings, and they're all professionals. Because if you see your sibling do it, it's like, oh, this is attainable. So by seeing him do it, made it attainable for me. And that was all the inspiration that I need. That was what I needed to kind of get over the hump. I think it's the black experience in general in America. Since the onset, of course, we all know the history is well documented, although throughout decades, the history has been manipulated and misrepresented in a lot of ways. But more and more the truth is coming to the light. And I'll definitely say that racism's alive, as well, as healthy. To those who don't think that America is functioning well, I don't think understand the economic enterprise that America is, the corporation, America the corporation. And I'll say to people who don't think it's working well, I'll say it's working exactly the way it was designed to work. And until you really have that understanding, it's hard to accept. And if you can't accept the reality, it's hard to learn how to navigate through it. You know what I'm saying? So my uncles taught me growing up that fair was a place where they judge pigs, you know what I'm saying? They were from the country, they're country boys. And that's the way I looked at life from that time. I don't look for fairness, I just look for opportunity. You know, I'll create the fairness, just give me the opportunity. But the best way to do it really is pre-planning, strategizing beforehand. You have to, the best you can, you have to know and anticipate the barriers, the pitfalls, and the systematic things that are in place to make it more difficult, and you have to plan ahead of those things.
Well,
now,
you're saying that from an experience point of view,
Right,
perspective.
right.
Now, what if it's someone who's just trying to get in the game and that don't know what really to prepare for or how to prepare themselves for that? What would you say?
That's a loaded question, and the first thing I tell you is find someone who's already done it, because you are going to get caught up in the mix.
Find a mentor.
You got to find a mentor. You have to find people who you can trust. You have to find people who've already been successful. You know, it's like, think of Burger King. You know, they might not have been the first ones, but they took a process and they modeled after it.
Hey, so you don't McDonald's process.
Took a process, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have to be the inventor of it. You just have to learn the process and learn how to learn. You know, and it's the difference between knowledge and wisdom. You know what I'm saying? You know, knowledge you learn by trial and error. Wisdom you learn by observing more so. Like, you don't have to go through it to learn. The better way to learn is to learn from somebody else's mistake. You could make them and learn. That's fine. And there's growth there. But if you could learn without making all those mistakes, it's a better process, easier process, more successful process. In general, don't get me wrong. There is some value in you know, in mistakes and making mistakes. So I'm not saying that, but humility, and the reason why I know so many different things in so many different fields, whether it's from a legal standpoint or from an accounting standpoint or regarding electrical issues or plumbing and gas, is because I handle and I work with and I ask questions and you know, if someone's doing something, don't just do it, teach me why you're doing it. And I have that mentality that I don't want you just to do it, I want to learn why you're doing it. Even if I'm not going to practically do it myself, then I at least still know for the next time, if you're not doing it, I'll know when someone else is doing it properly. So, yeah, you know, so for me, a lot of it is just personality based. Once again, I'll go back to the grace. So it's really that, in many ways, I don't think I'm doing anything special. I'm just trying to tap into what he's already placed inside of me, man.
Absolutely. If I could put it in these words, that, you know, God has given you the grace, but you got to walk through it. You know what I mean? All you got to do is get up and show up, and that's I got you.
That's half. That's more than half. That's a lot of it right there.
He's taking good care of us.
Yes, he has.
Now, to that note, during this climate, pandemic, crazy times, we don't know what to expect tomorrow. You know what I mean? Would you say to someone who's aspiring to come into this industry, or someone who's actually just inspired to buy a house right now, you know, or maybe try their luck at investing, would you say now is a good time to do it, or no?
My brother, once again, talking to just people who are older than me, wiser than me, who have been there before, this is something that someone taught me a long time ago. There's never a perfect time to get married, never a perfect time to have children, never a perfect time to go back to school, never a perfect time to start a business. The time to do it is when you can do it, when you feel like you're ready, when you have the opportunity, you know, when you're taking some time to prepare and you can accomplish that thing, then that's the right time to do it. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm not gonna be that OG or that older dude, you know, a little bit older, mature, I'll say. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna be that guy to say young people don't know anything. But, you know, some of these millennials are out there saying, I'm gonna wait until the market crash, not understanding how sophisticated this system is. And when a market crashes, typically, and I'm not really talking about the stock market necessarily, but more so in real estate, particularly in this Northeast environment where price points are generally higher than most of the country. When the market crashes, the first thing that tightens up is credit. So that means that where the standards used to be here, the market crashes, now it's up here. And that can be in regards to all kind of procedural things. It can be in regards to your credit score, in regards to utilization, in regards to how much cash you need to close, in regards to if banks are lending at all. So there's a lot of factors, what type of collateral you may need. There's a lot of factors, and to be honest with you, we're not in a position to dictate what those terms are. So I'll use the pandemic as a clear example. Many people anticipated that there was going to be a crash, in January, February, March, April, and exactly the opposite has occurred, particularly in our sub-market of New York City. We're in Fairfield County, Connecticut. There's been an insurgence in our area because a lot of the migration patterns, people have moved away from larger cities due to the pandemic to get into more suburban and less densely populated areas. So when that occurred, we were a prime area where a lot of those people came in, not only for investment purposes, but to escape the more densely populated areas. So we've seen prices increase roughly 15% in the last year, where people thought initially that this was going to have a very negative impact on the real estate market and the market in general. I mean, we see the same thing in the stock market, the all-time highs in the stock market, and prices are literally, in many respects, greater than they were prior to the crash of 2008. A lot of people focus on making more money when it's really not about that 9 times out of 10. It's about managing the resources that you have. And you asked me that earlier. What do I consider myself? Because I don't consider myself, I have some number of properties and things of that nature, a lot of equipment, different things, but I don't consider myself an owner of any of these things because I think that the man upstairs, I think the creator owns everything. And I think we just here to manage it for him. You know what I'm saying? So I would say learn to manage what you have well. And it's not about making more, it's about spending less. And once you can manage that and learn how to deprive yourself in the short term. So short-term gain for long-term, short-term pain for long-term gain, that kind of mentality is really a lot of knowledge and a lot of fruit and a lot of success built into that type of mentality. Get comfortable with not spending all your money, whatever you have, week to week, month to month. Get comfortable with doing that and do that over the long term. There's no substitute for time. So if you start saving, the earlier you start, the earlier you finish. So if you can start while you're 18, 19, 20, dare I say 15, 16, 17, even better. But if you can start when you're 18, 19, 20, even just doing $5 a day, whatever the case is, you do that over 30, 40, 50 years. And I'm not even talking about getting into compound interest and investing. If you just learn how to save alone over the long term, you can change. Families can start changing their dynamics, their circumstances, and their future.
Man, I appreciate you taking the time out to sit down and chop it up with me, man. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me, man, giving me this platform, this opportunity. You know, I've been a supporter of you and your work, the plays you put on, they've been very successful. I mean, I can't wait till you bear all your fruit, man. Yeah. And I hope to be a witness to it, brother.
I appreciate that, my brother. And until the next time, peace and blessings.